Hello friends, Mercury transits on 24th October. Mercury transits from your 6th house to 7th house and remains there up to 23rd November, about a month's time. It was in a conjunction with debilitated Sun and Mars in the 6th house prior to the transit. But now the Mercury departs to the 7th house and then Mars also transits to the 7th house on 27th October. So Mars will be there in the 7th house up to 7th December. So both the transits, both Mercury and Mars transits might bring you both the negative and positive influences to your life, especially for the 7th house and also the houses represented by those planets. Your 7th house resembles your marriage or married life, spouse, and your long-term close relationship, someone even without legally marrying. So those things are the matters represented by the 7th house. So Mercury in the 7th house means Mercury usually doesn't support those things. If you are expecting to be married, then Mercury and Mars together in the 7th house here is somewhat favorable for your marriage. But if you are married or if you are living together in long run, then Mercury doesn't support much of that to make it better or like that. Sometimes it might disturb also for that. But Mars as the Lord of the 7th house supports for such causes. To supports you to get married and to maintain your married life well, and in fact it's good for your spouse, so on. In fact, for the people who are expecting to be married or expecting to be proposed, so those matters might be accelerated because of the influences of Mars there in your 7th house. Because that's the general attitude of Mars. Whether it is good or bad, Mars accelerates, makes it dynamic. So here as the Lord of the 7th house, so Mars supports the matters represented by 7th house. Mercury in the 7th house makes you more active in your speech as well as your works. It's a good time for writing works or literary works, even good time to start such works. Mercury also resembles your family life after the marriage, if you are married, and also your speech, and also your ability to save your wealth, your ability to save money, and your savings. So Mercury in the 7th house from 24 onwards means it's comparatively better than before for those things. Because before the 24th, Mercury was in your 6th house, making it slightly negative. But now it becomes more positive, comparatively more positive for such matters from 24th onwards, as it came to 7th house. Even for the matters represented by 5th house, because the Lord of the 5th house also Mercury. Resembles your children, your love affairs and your education. But Venus is there in the 5th house up to 2nd November in debilitated state. That might disturb for those matters represented by 5th house up to 2nd November. But after 2nd November, so Shikru also moves to the next house. So as the Lord of the 5th house, Mercury continues to stay in the 7th house up to 23rd November. So from the 2nd November to 23rd November, it's comparatively better situation for the matters represented by 5th house. That means your love affairs, your children, and for your education. So the debilitated Sun will continue to stay in the 6th house from 16th November, not the 16th November, from 27th October to 2nd November. Because from 27th October, Mars lives there, the sixth house. Then the Sun will continue to stay there in debilitated state from 27th October to 2nd November by disturbing the matters represented by 6th house. The matters represented by 6th house means your health and also your enemies. That means your ability to overcome your enemies. So such matters will be affected somewhat negatively. And then on 2nd November, Venus departs 5th house and enters 6th house. So 6th house belongs to Venus. So it becomes strong there in the 6th house, and it will be conjunct with debilitated Sun there up to 16th November. That means from 2nd November to 16th November, debilitated Sun and powerful Venus will be there in the 6th house. So Venus there means you might get more interest, or you might be attracted towards more sweet foods, like more like variety of junk foods likewise. So that will affect badly to your health, as the debilitated Sun also already they are disturbing such matters. Even your ability to control your subordinates at your workplace, or even your servants, your domestic servants, also might get diminished because of the impact of debilitated Sun and Venus in, and even the Venus is in a strong state. The Venus will not be able to handle such matters. So from 2nd November to 16th November, they will be together there in the 6th house, exerting such influences. But on 16th November, Sun departs to the 7th house, and then the Venus remains in the 6th house up to 26th November. Then solely Venus will be able to give its own influences there. So more tendency to have more sweets and more variety of foods. So we will get organically, but naturally, but the impact will not be healthy for you. So the movement of Sun to the 7th house, it will conjunct with Mars and Mercury already there, but the Sun's influence to the 7th house will not be good for the matters represented by 7th house. So Mars supports the married life there as the lord of the 7th house, but the Mercury and the Sun doesn't support such matters while staying there, and in fact disturbs them. All those planets we discussed are fast moving planets. They generally take a month or 1.5 months to completely move across a house. So they exert short-term influences. But the planets like Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu, they take longer time to move across a house completely. So generally more than 1 year. For example, the Saturn generally takes 2.5 years. Saturn is already in your 11th house from 29th March 2025 onwards, and it will be continue staying there for the next 2.5 years in long term. So anyway, Saturn represents your 9th house and 10th house. 10th house resembles mainly your profession, and the 9th house resembles mainly your luck, fortune, and previous karma, and your religious interests, spiritual interests, like that. So Saturn generally brings you good results, good influences. That's a bit strange, but for the Taurus ascendants, that's special because Saturn generally gives them positive influences. Jupiter works on the other way because Jupiter is generally regarded as a planet which generally gives good impact, good influences. But here for the Taurus ascendants, those things works in the other way. Saturn favors them while Jupiter mostly opposes most of the matters of Taurus ascendants. But one thing, Jupiter resembles 11th house of the Taurus ascendants. That means it is the lord of the 11th house, which resembles like income and social affairs. Only for that matter, Jupiter supports. Except that for most of the things represented by those rest of the 11th houses, Jupiter doesn't support much. So now Saturn is in the 11th house, so that supports income, but that might be a bit difficult. The ways of income or to get that, you have to work hard. But anyway, you get that. You have a like consistent type of income and kind of regular income as the Saturn is there. Even throughout those difficulties or to get it, you might have to work a bit hard, but anyway you get that. But Rahu in your 10th house, that means that directly says your profession, that changes your consistency there. Sometimes you might go high and then you might fall to the bottom in the next occasion. So there is no consistency in your profession during the stay of Rahu in your 4th house. So that will be there up to 5th December 2026. But during that time, those short-term influencing planets, when they come there and if they are in good state there, that will give comparatively better results. And Ketu is continue to stay in your 4th house up to 6th December 2025. Ketu is in enemy state in your 4th house because your 4th house belongs to a Leo constellation. So your 4th house is associated with that. So Ketu becomes enemy state in that constellation which is associated in 4th house. So Ketu is there in enemy state in your 4th house. Even Ketu is not a suitable planet to be in 4th house. So that will give some malefic influences to matters governed by your 4th house. That means your long-term fixed assets like your lands, houses, your properties, your home and your place of residence. So you will face some negative influences and difficulties in such matters. Mars, not the Mars, so the Jupiter is in exalted state in your 3rd house from 18th October to 5th December. So Jupiter can aspect 11th house because it is in 3rd house, so it can aspect the 11th house. I told you earlier 11th house belongs to him, Jupiter. 11th house resembles income and social affairs. Saturn is already there giving some good positive results there. So as the lord of the 11th house, now the Jupiter, the exalted Jupiter can aspect the 11th house, so exerting more good influences on that. The matters represented by 11th house means income and also the social affairs. But it doesn't help in that extent for the other matters. As I said earlier, Jupiter is the lord of the 8th house. 8th house is the worst house in any horoscope, in any birth chart, which resembles setbacks in life, downfall, and sorrow, grief, and losses, and also life-threatening situations, death, and the lifespan. So mostly negative things. So in the birth chart of Taurus ascendants, the lord of that 8th house is Jupiter. That's why it gives more negative influences for the Taurus ascendants than the Saturn. Most of the occasions, Jupiter gives the negative influences than Saturn. Saturn generally gives positive influences for the Taurus ascendants in many occasions. So now the Jupiter helps only for the income and social affairs there, but it doesn't help in that way for the other matters, because Jupiter is located in the 3rd house, which is in the marriage triangle. So Saturn is in the 11th house, aspect the 7th house. The Mercury is already there in the 7th house during this period, and also now the Jupiter can aspect the 7th house. But normally most of the birth charts, most of the ascendants, aspect of the Jupiter is highly beneficial for the marriage. But here it's not up to that extent. It doesn't support much to maintain a good marriage from that aspect of the Jupiter. As a result, these days, so for your marriage, the time is not that positive. In fact, from 11th November 2025 to 11th March 2026, Jupiter retrogrades, so some of the influences, whether good or bad, might be delayed or disturbed by the retrogression of Jupiter during that period. Remember, this astrology analysis is based on your general lagna or general ascendant. That means it's common for those Taurus ascendants. But to get a more personalized and more accurate birth chart reading based on your own and unique birth chart, you have to consult an astrologer and get your own personalized birth chart reading. Because your birth chart shows the exact positioning of the planets were placed in the sky at the time of your birth. It's like a screenshot of that. It is unique to you and your story is recorded there. Also remember that destiny is not fixed. You can change it. Astrology shows the good and bad things to be happen according to your birth chart. It is the possible way of your life based on what you have brought with you at birth. So astrology guides you by forecasting the possible good and bad to come ahead in your life. That is one main function and use of astrology. That is one reason people used it over centuries in the East and West. So when you have the guidance from the astrology, so you can prepare early for the good and bad things to come ahead and plan well early and execute your plans to change the destiny in the positive direction in your favor.